Have you ever found yourself endlessly chasing approval, running after people, achievements, and moments, desperately trying to impress, to belong, to be seen? We spend so much of our lives trying to gain the attention of people who, deep down, don't even see themselves clearly. But here's the raw truth you need to hear. You are your greatest investment. Not your career, not your relationships, not your bank account. You. Because if you aren't right within yourself, nothing around you will ever feel right either. God didn't create you to live for the world's applause. He didn't call you to build your worth from the outside in. No, He created you to live from the inside out. And yet, so many of us are pouring ourselves into broken cups, giving everything we have to people and places that can't hold us, can't nourish us, and can't pour back into us. And we wonder, why do we always feel empty? Some of you have been giving your heart, your energy, your precious time to people who only know how to take. You love with depth, you give without hesitation, but time and time again, you find yourself hurt, disappointed, overlooked. Let me tell you, it's not because you're weak. It's because you've been placing your value in the wrong hands. When you don't understand your own worth, you'll spend your days trying to prove it to people who were never meant to carry it. But here's what they won't tell you. God already stamped you with purpose. Before you ever knew rejection, before life ever had a chance to break you, God had already placed inside you everything you need to stand tall. But the world will keep telling you to hustle harder, chase validation, stay busy, because somehow, we've been conditioned to believe that busyness equals importance. You scroll through other people's carefully curated lives, comparing their highlight reels to your own behind-the-scenes battles. And while you're distracted, while your attention is pulled in every direction, the enemy is quietly stealing your focus from the one thing that truly matters, you. The real you, the one God formed in secret, the one who has been called, anointed, and chosen for such a time as this. But here's the problem. You're trying to heal while still holding on to the things that broke you. You're trying to grow, but you refuse to let go of the weights that are dragging you down. And you wonder, why am I so tired? Why does my spirit feel so drained? It's because you've mastered showing up for everyone else, but you've forgotten how to show up for yourself. But today, that can change. Today, you get to decide that enough is enough. Enough of giving your precious time to people who don't value it. Enough of watering dead soil. Enough of waiting for someone else to validate what God already declared over your life. Start investing in the things that feed your soul. Wake up and pray before you pick up your phone. Read something that sharpens your mind. Take a walk with no destination, just you and God. Protect your peace like it's a rare treasure, because it is. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every voice deserves your attention. You've been living like your time is unlimited. But let me remind you, your time is precious. Every moment you spend ignoring your growth is a moment you can never get back. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. You are not wrong for focusing on your healing, your peace, your growth. People may not understand it. They may call it cold. They may call it distant. Let them, because the moment you stop watering people who never poured into you, they'll try to call your boundaries pride. But listen carefully. You don't owe anyone an apology for choosing to become whole. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the God who gave you breath this morning. There's a reason you feel that tug in your spirit, that quiet whisper saying, there's more. That's not anxiety. That's not fear. That's God calling you out of distraction and into discipline. Out of pleasing people and into pleasing Him. When was the last time you sat still and asked God, what do you want from me? Not what the world expects. Not what people think. But God, what do you want from my life? You were not created to run in circles, chasing endless approval. You were created to run your race. And you cannot run your race if you keep stopping to ask the crowd for their opinion. Focus on yourself, build what God placed inside you, guard your mind, renew your heart, feed your spirit. Because when you get aligned with yourself, when you focus on your own growth, everything else begins to fall into place. The right people will find you. The right doors will open. The purpose you've been waiting for will start to unfold. You don't need more opinions. You need more obedience. You don't need more applause. You need more alignment. And that only comes when you begin to treat yourself like the divine investment you are. So don't waste another second. Stop chasing people. Start chasing purpose. The clock is ticking, your life is too important to spend it distracted. Not everyone deserves access to you. I know that might sound harsh, especially if you've been raised to always be kind, to give endlessly, to stay available just to keep the peace. But hear me, God never called you to be a doormat. He called you to be a vessel, and vessels must be filled before they can pour. Some of you are exhausted, not because you're weak, but because you've given people too much access to your heart, your time, your mind. You've surrounded yourself with people who only take and never give. The truth is, there are people who only show up when they need something. They don't ask how you're doing. They don't check in unless they want a favor. And the moment you set a boundary, suddenly you become the problem. But let me ask you, why do we keep opening the door to people who knock with empty hands but leave with full pockets? Why do we silence the warning in our spirit just to keep others comfortable? You are not called to carry the weight of everyone's expectations. Some people see your kindness as weakness, some people see your silence as permission. There comes a time when you must close the door, not with anger, but with wisdom. You can love people from a distance, you can pray for them without walking with them. Just because someone was part of your past doesn't mean they belong in your future. God doesn't remove people from your life to punish you. He removes them to protect you. Some of the doors God is trying to open in your life are being delayed because too many hands are still on the handle. Some of the blessings you've been waiting for are held back because you keep entertaining people who were never meant to go where you're going. You keep explaining yourself to people who aren't even listening. You keep giving second chances to people who used the first to break you. Boundaries are not unkind, they are holy. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowds. He didn't heal every person. He moved with purpose, not pressure. If the Son of God knew when to say no, why do we feel guilty when we do? Sometimes silence is the loudest answer. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. When God tells you to move, you move. Even if no one understands. You don't need everyone to clap. You don't need everyone's agreement. You just need to be in alignment with what God is speaking over your life. And if that means walking alone for a season, so be it. It's far better to walk with God in silence than with people in noise. When you finally stop chasing people and start chasing your purpose, something powerful happens. But even then, there's still one lingering voice, a quiet whisper that asks, what if? What if you fail? What if you're not enough? What if you're misunderstood? What if you're alone? But what if those are not warnings? What if they're invitations to trust God in a deeper way? When you choose to step out in faith, you align yourself with a power far greater than any obstacle you could ever face. And yes, I know, it's not easy. The world will try to pull you back, to weigh you down with doubt. People will tell you to be practical, to be realistic, to settle for less than what you were created for. But God is calling you higher. He's calling you to be bold, to be courageous, to move with purpose, even when the noise around you says otherwise. He's calling you to be the kind of person who walks by faith, not by sight. Purpose requires action. It requires faith in motion. It requires that you stop waiting for someone's permission and start moving with holy conviction. Because the longer you wait, the more opportunities slip through your fingers. The longer you wait, the more your dreams begin to gather dust. The longer you wait, the more you rob the world of the gifts that only you can give. It's time to rise. It's time to move. It's time to stop asking for permission and start asking God for courage. The path may feel uncertain, but the God who called you is faithful. The same God who planted purpose in your heart will equip you for every step you take. You may stumble, you may fall, but every single step forward is a victory over fear. Every step is a bold declaration that you trust God more than your doubts. So don't wait for the world's approval. Don't wait for perfect timing or ideal conditions. God's timing is now. His permission is already given. You are called. You are chosen. You are equipped. Walk in that truth. Step boldly into your destiny. But here's where so many of us get trapped. We fall into the cycle of people pleasing. We waste precious time bending, twisting, breaking ourselves just to make everyone else happy. We live to earn approval, to avoid conflict, to fit into boxes that were never designed for us. The danger is this: when you live for people's approval, you become a prisoner to their opinions. You lose your freedom. You lose your voice. You give away your power. You start living for the applause of the crowd, a crowd that can cheer for you one day and forget your name the next. The applause is fleeting. It's unstable ground to build a life on. When you're consumed by pleasing people, your calling gets diluted. You begin to soften your edges. You shift your focus outward instead of inward. You begin to live defensively, to avoid rejection instead of pursuing God's best. But God didn't create you to be a people pleaser. He created you to be a purpose pleaser. You were called to hear His voice above the noise, to follow His lead, even when it's unpopular, even when you stand alone. Some of the greatest heroes of faith, Abraham, Moses, Esther, Daniel, were not people pleasers. They stood firm for what was right, even when it cost them everything. They didn't live to make everyone happy. They lived to make God please. And that made all the difference. Maybe you're in a place right now where you're worn out from trying to keep everyone satisfied. You've said yes when your heart was begging you to say no. You've ignored your own needs to meet the endless demands of others. And now, you feel empty, exhausted, alone. That's because living to please people is a losing battle. It's impossible to make everyone happy. And the more you try, the more you lose yourself. But when you stop living for people's approval and start living for God's approval, everything changes. Your identity becomes rooted in something unshakable. Your purpose becomes clearer. Your peace becomes untouchable. God's approval is the only approval that truly matters. When you know you're walking in His will, the opinions of others become nothing more than background noise. They can't drown out the voice of your Creator. You have to learn to say no to pressure, to expectations, to the need for applause. Every yes you give to something that doesn't align with God's plan is a no to the destiny He has prepared for you. That's why boundaries matter, not just to protect your time, but to protect your soul. Boundaries are sacred. They're the fences that protect your purpose. When you set healthy boundaries, you're telling the world, I honor what God has placed inside me. You're declaring, my purpose matters, and I will not let anything or anyone steal it from me. It's not easy to break free from the need to be liked. Sometimes it feels like your worth is tied to people's acceptance. Sometimes you fear rejection more than failure itself. But remember, the fear of man is a trap. But trusting God sets you free. When you live for God's approval, you walk in a freedom that no one can take away. Freedom from insecurity. Freedom from the pressure to control how others see you. It takes courage to stand firm in who God made you to be. It takes faith to say, I will not be shaken by what people think, but that courage and that faith, they're available to you through the power of the Holy Spirit. You don't have to carry this alone. God will strengthen you when you feel weak. He will give you wisdom when you feel unsure. He will give you peace when the noise around you grows loud. Start today by asking yourself, who am I really living for? Am I living to please people? Or am I living to please God? Am I sacrificing my peace for approval? Am I willing to let go of being liked, so I can fully embrace being led? Because the road to purpose is not paved with popularity, it's paved with obedience, it's paved with integrity, it's paved with the willingness to be misunderstood in order to stay true to your calling. When you walk that road, you'll find a joy and a peace that no one can take away. You were not made to be everyone's favorite. You were made to be God's faithful servant. So stop wasting your precious time chasing approval. Start investing your life in pleasing the one who gave you breath. That's where your strength is. That's where your peace is. That's where your purpose will be found. But beware, the world is full of distractions. The noise is constant. The notifications are endless. Social media flashes before us. The demands of life keep piling up. We are busy, always busy. But let's be honest, busyness is not the same as purpose. Motion is not the same as progress. You can be busy your whole life and still feel empty. You can run all day and still be far from the purpose God put in your heart. Some distractions are obvious. Some are subtle. Some wear masks. They look like good things. Friendships, entertainment, even work. But they quietly steal your time, your focus, and your energy. You look up, and suddenly you realize, you've been moving. But you haven't been moving forward, you've been busy. But not productive, you've been present. But not purposeful. God has given you one of the most precious resources you'll ever have, time. And time can never be reclaimed once it's gone. Scripture tells us to number our days, to live with purpose, to understand that time is limited. But how often do we let it slip away, spending it on what's trivial, temporary, fleeting? Remember the story of Martha and Mary. Martha was busy. Distracted by many things, Mary sat at Jesus' feet. Focused on what truly mattered, and Jesus said, Mary had chosen the better part. There's a lesson here. The difference between distraction and devotion, the difference between busyness and focus. We must constantly ask ourselves, what's consuming my time? Am I feeding my spirit or feeding my distractions? Am I investing in what builds my future? Or am I wasting my energy on what drains me? Learning to say no is a spiritual discipline. When you say no to distractions, you're saying yes to your purpose. You're setting boundaries that protect your time, your heart, and your focus. Distractions love to disguise themselves as urgent, but urgent is not always important. Many of us spend our energy on what screams the loudest, instead of what shapes our destiny. God's purpose for you is far too important to be drowned out by noise. So, as we've just reminded ourselves, God's purpose for your life is too important to be wasted on distractions. That's why it requires more than casual attention. It demands something deeper, something intentional, something focused. You see, purpose requires your focused attention. It's not something you stumble into by accident. It's something you must choose, protect, and prioritize every single day. To walk fully in your calling, you must clear the clutter. You must be willing to sweep away the noise, the unnecessary commitments, and the things that quietly steal your time. It's about creating sacred space for growth, for learning, for prayer, for serving. It's about choosing, intentionally, where you invest your energy, your heart, and your hours, because every moment wasted is a moment stolen from your destiny. The world will always compete for your time. Distractions will never stop knocking. There will always be something urgent, something loud, something pulling at your attention. But God calls you to a higher standard. He calls you to a life marked by intention, by focus, by unwavering faith. He calls you to walk in the power of His presence, not in the pull of the world's distractions. Even Jesus, fully God, fully man, understood this. He often withdrew from the crowds. He intentionally stepped away from the noise, from the demands, from the pressures, to pray, to be alone with the Father. If the Son of God Himself needed quiet time to fulfill His mission, how much more do we? Distraction is a thief. It steals your time, it steals your peace, it steals your progress. But focus is a gift. Focus is what moves you forward. Focus is the key that unlocks the doors to your destiny. So today, make the decision to reclaim your time. Identify the distractions that are slowing you down, and release them. Let them go. Make space for what truly matters. Spend time in God's presence. Prioritize your purpose and watch how your life begins to shift. So often, we think that success, fulfillment, and happiness will simply arrive one day, fully formed, like a perfectly wrapped gift dropped straight from heaven, effortless, without struggle, without persistence. But that's not how God designed life. Growth, strength, and victory are forged in the fires of persistence. They come to those who refuse to quit. They come to those who push forward. No matter how difficult the road, no matter the obstacles, no matter the setbacks. The journey was never promised to be easy. It's not meant to be. It's meant to refine us. It's meant to shape us into who God created us to be. There will be moments when the road feels endless, when the weight on your shoulders feels unbearable, when the darkness feels like it's pressing in from every side. But it is in those moments, the hardest moments, that your true character is revealed. It's when you keep walking despite the pain. It's when you refuse to turn back. It's when you stand firm that you begin to discover the strength God placed inside of you. A strength that doesn't come from your own ability, but from your deep, living faith in Him. Remember the words of the Apostle Paul. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Paul didn't rely on his own power. It wasn't his own determination that carried him through shipwrecks, prisons, and countless hardships. It was Christ's power within him. And the same strength is available to you. When you feel weak, when you feel like giving up, that's the very moment where God's power shines brightest in your life. Persistence isn't about stubbornness or sheer willpower. It's about faith that God is working behind the scenes even when you don't see it. Faith that every small step forward is taking you closer to the purpose He designed for you. Faith that your struggles are not the end of your story. They are simply part of a greater story of redemption. The enemy wants you to believe your struggles are proof you failed, that your setbacks are dead ends. But the Word of God says otherwise. Trials produce perseverance. Perseverance builds character. And character leads to hope. Every obstacle is an opportunity to grow stronger. Every challenge is a chance to develop resilience. Every battle is an invitation to trust God more deeply. This is why you must guard your heart fiercely against discouragement. Discouragement is a master thief. It sneaks in quietly and whispers lies. You're not good enough. You're too tired. You've waited too long. It's too hard. But those are lies, and you must reject them. Hold tightly to the truth. God is with you. His grace is sufficient. His power is made perfect in your weakness. Look at the story of Job. Job lost nearly everything, his wealth, his family, even his health. Yet he did not turn his back on God. He did not curse him. Job held on. He persisted, and in the end, God restored him, blessing him even more than before. Job's life is a testimony, a powerful reminder of what God can do for those who refuse to quit. You might feel like you're walking this path alone, but you are not alone. God walks with you every step when you stumble. He is there to lift you when you grow weary. He is there to renew you when you feel like giving up. He is there to strengthen you. But you must keep moving, you must keep pressing forward, you must keep believing. Persistence also means trusting God's timing. Sometimes we want things now. We want immediate results. And when things don't happen on our timeline, we get frustrated. But God's timing is perfect. Waiting on God is not wasted time, it is preparation time, it is growth time. Think about a farmer. He plants seeds, but he doesn't see fruit the next morning. He waits, he waters, he tends the soil, he trusts the process. Your life is like that seed. Your persistence is the watering, your faith is the sunlight. In due time, in God's perfect time, the harvest will come. So don't quit, don't lose heart. Your breakthrough could be just one step away. The next prayer, the next effort, the next day of showing up, it could change everything. And even if it doesn't, even if it takes longer than you hoped, every step forward is still a victory. Every moment of persistence is still building something powerful inside of you. You are stronger than you think. You are capable of more than you can imagine, but you must keep going. Refuse to quit, because God's plan for your life is worth every struggle, every tear, every ounce of energy. He hasn't called you to an easy path, but He has called you to a victorious one. Keep your eyes on the prize, keep your heart anchored in faith, keep walking, step by step, day by day, and one day, you'll look back and realize how far God has brought you, not by your strength, but by His incredible, sustaining grace.